Welcome to episode 2 on my journey to UTMB 2025. In this episode, I'm going to talk about neuromuscular and high intensity training. You might be surprised to learn my first block of training includes short track intervals and 5-kilometre races. Typically, my annual training cycle begins in October or November and lasts 8 to 12 weeks. It's usually my lowest volume block with the highest intensity running. I also cross-train. As I've got older, I use my bike to help balance training, sometimes offloading intensity to the bike, sometimes removing bike sessions if I'm tired so I can keep my running volume. But what's a mountain ultra runner doing on the track? The track sessions are focused on neuromuscular training, which gets even more important as you age. These short, fast efforts increase VO2 max and improve running economy. They reinforce efficient biomechanics and enhance neuromuscular coordination, which has trickle-down efficiency to slower paces. I simply can't get the same turnover and power on trails. To reduce the number of bends taken at speed on the track, I usually cap out at 300-metre intervals, with 100-metre jog recoveries. For neuromuscular training, you want to spend as much time at your top speed as possible. So do decreasing blocks of intervals, for example, a number of 300s, then 200s, then 100s, accounting for mounting fatigue. These are the track sessions I did over 8 weeks. The improvement was significant. By the third session, my 300s were 8 seconds faster. For the fourth session, I ran alternating 200s and 40 seconds for the fast and 50 seconds for the float. Since the purpose of neuromuscular training is to spend the maximum amount of time at your top speed and reinforce neuromuscular and biomechanical efficiency, you should drop down in distance when you can no longer hold your pace. Neuromuscular training like this is very hard and leaves you gasping for breath, but it shouldn't become a grind. As the start of this block was delayed by a bad bout of COVID, I had to start blending in hills and threshold rather than have that as a separate block. Generally focusing on one type of training at a time leads to larger adaptations of the kind which that type of training generates. But sometimes we need more than one type of stimuli or set of stimuli because of time, genetics or training history. So I did one fast session and one longer one each week, the second of which was mostly on trail. I also did 4 races, 2 short, a medium and a longer mountain race. I finished first in 3 of them and was happy with how I felt. I didn't have a lot of long runs, but I did get up to 4 hours. I wouldn't typically do that in the speed block, but due to the COVID infection, I was 4 weeks closer to the first long race of the season than planned. This brings me to the taper for the first A race of the year, Ultra Trail Mediterranea, 46 kilometres and 2,550 metres of elevation. The first week of the taper has only been a moderate decrease as I'm not feeling especially tired, even though I raced a 2 3/4 hour race last weekend. The lack of fatigue of course has me questioning whether I've done enough training, but I have a long season of racing ahead, so I'm satisfied that I've done the right amount with that in mind. I don't think I'm in perfect shape, but it's the first race of the season. Drop any questions you have about neuromuscular training or the way I periodise my training in the comments. Subscribe to keep following along.